Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. I hope everybody has had a great week. I hope that whatever it is that you set out to do and accomplish for this week, you hit your mark. But if you're like most of us, sometimes you fall short. Sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want. Sometimes it does not look like you want it to look. But understand that if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. I want to encourage you to keep yourself squarely positioned in a press mode so that you get up, you wake up, and you go out. This is about finishing. This is about going the distance. This is about staying the court. This is about hitting the mark. If you're still breathing, you are still in the fight. Don't you dare give up. Look, before I jump off into this, this is going to be a very pressing and powerful message that I'm going to attempt to share with you today to encourage you, to empower you. And I really want you to get it. But before I do, I want to remind you today is the last day to get your free triple upgrade. Anybody who purchases a bronze mini, which is a 6 session package with me, will get a free upgrade today only for the gold package. So you're going to get upgrade beyond the regular bronze, which is 12 sessions, beyond the silver, which is 18 sessions, all the way to the gold, which is 26 sessions, 6 months, half a year on just for purchasing a bronze mini. It ends tonight at midnight. If you've ever said you wanted to work with yours truly and get some things done, this is an opportunity for you to do it. With that being said, let's talk. Man, a friend sent me a message last night, and it was of Pastor Mike Jr. It was a clip, and it was just simply him outlining one of my favorite scriptural texts in the book of Philippians, and it's chapter 3, where Paul is talking about aspiring to be like Christ. Now, in this, he's talking about a spiritual journey, but what you have to understand in the context of this message are principles that are practical. And what I mean by practical, meaning that it's not only applicable to that specific situation, it's applicable in the dynamic of human performance. So Paul says that he says, not that I've already attained or that I have already taken hold of it, but this one thing I do, I forget those things which are behind. I forget those things that are back there. And uh, I look forward and I press towards the mark for the prize of a higher calling. I forget those things that are behind me. And then it hit me. How many of us are inconsistently attempting to press towards something and achieve something and take hold of something while pulling the baggage of past hurt? If I'm honest, I've done it. If I'm honest, I've done it. There are some things I've been through that have really, truly hit me hard. And what happens is we get in this mode of literally identifying. Hello, Belinda. We get in this mode of identifying with what went wrong. We get in the mode of identifying with our hurt, with our pain, with our disappointment, with our fears. And what happens is we become anchored in the identity of something that was meant to be situational, something that was meant to be circumstantial, something that was meant to be a process of learning and development. And we become stagnated by this anchor. And instead of pressing towards the mark for something greater, pressing towards the mark for a better relationship, pressing towards the mark for a better career, pressing towards the mark for a better job, we're anchored in a past hurt that has us stagnated and viewing life through the lens of that pain. And as you move through life attempting to process new stimuli, new information, new data, new opportunities through a lens that is marred by a past hurt that should have been dealt with and laid aside, you get stagnated, you get disrupted, you become discombobulated, you become self-sabotaging. You destroy things you should be embracing. You dismiss things you should be grabbing a hold to. It's difficult to effectively press towards the mark for something great when you are pulling the baggage of your past hurts. You've got to learn how to release it. Now, I don't want to be like so many, and since I use the scripture, I'm going to speak to people of faith, but I'm going to speak to people who may not hold the same faith, because this practice is a psychological, practical realization that if I'm holding on to something in the past that I should have released, it's going to be impossible for me to take hold of something. You can't grab hold to something still holding something. You've got to let go of some things in order to take hold of other things. And when you're holding on to the hurts of your past, you can't press higher. You can't reach higher. Even if you're climbing a ladder, you're going to have to let go of a rung to grab a higher rung. You're going to have to be willing to move something out of the way to take hold of something that you consider to be more greater, more significant, more powerful, more elevating. But what happens? Paul said, I haven't attained. I have not yet become. I have not taken hold of it. But the one thing I do, the one thing, and when you look at that in context, we said the one thing, and it's not the only thing, but the one thing is something that if this thing isn't done, none of the other stuff matters. See, it's not the only thing. It's the one thing. The one thing is the thing that if I don't do this, all of this other stuff that I think I've got nailed, all of this other stuff I think I have put down and done, it doesn't matter. What must he says, I forget those things that are behind me. It's letting go of it. It's releasing it. It's not saying that it didn't happen. It's not saying that it didn't hurt. It's not saying that you weren't disappointed. It's not saying that you didn't feel betrayed. What it's saying is that it has no purpose in your future. You're trying to move into something powerful, but you're pulling the pain of your past and you can't make the leap. You're trying to make a jump with too much weight. You're going to have to set down the baggage of yesterday. You're going to have to sit down and look at it and process it. And now what I do want to do is do something that is important. And Pastor Mike mentioned this when he spoke of it. One of the things that I see is that whether it's motivational speakers, whether it's pastors, whether it's psychologists, everybody who has developed all of these platforms, we tend to make things sound a lot easier than it is. And one of the things I can tell you is walking by faith is not easy. Walking with a higher demand on your life while still realizing some of the things that you have been through and are going through is not easy. Sitting up and seeing yourself in the purity of God's design while looking at the mar of what you've been through and what it has made you is a difficult thing. And we need to stop making it sound so easy, because when people meet the wall and hit the wall and face the challenges and the difficulties and the frustrations that come along with trying to elevate, and they see it's not as easy as you make it sound, they think it's something wrong with them. Let me tell you, I've had to sit down and do some hard work to let go of some pains in the past, some feelings of disappointment, some feelings of loss, some feelings of betrayal, some situations that could easily lead to distrust. I had to overcome it. I had to sit down and say, you know what? I can't take this into where I'm going. There's no place for this pain in my purpose. There's no place for now, don't get me wrong. My purpose explains my pain, but there's no place for this pain that I'm carrying in the future purpose of my life. I've got to set it down. Some of us are trying to march into a tomorrow, but we haven't dealt with yesterday. Some of us are trying to sit around and see something and take hold of something, but we are dragging the baggage of hurt from our childhood, dragging the baggage of abandonment by our fathers, dragging the baggage of abandonment by our mothers, dragging the baggage of abandonment and abuse by our mates, dragging the baggage of being disappointed by our jobs and let go after we've given years and years and years of hard work and commitment and loyalty, and no loyalty was shown in return. You got to let go of it, because in order to see what is in front of you, you've got to have a lens that it's clear of everything that has done. You're supposed to learn from it and let it go. You're supposed to grow from it and let it go. You're supposed to heal from it and get stronger. It's not supposed to be with you every day. Too many of you right now are mortgaging your futures in an attempt to measure and deal with and make up and heal your past. Set it down. I didn't say pretend it didn't happen. I said it's time to let it go. Some of you are sitting up holding on to anger, holding on to pain and hurt, holding on to bitterness because something someone did to you a year ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, and they've moved on with their lives, in many instances, changing their lives and becoming better. And you are still holding on to that anger and that toxic feeling of pain and distrust at a level that poison that you're holding on isn't hurting them, it's killing you. Let it go. Paul understood that I can't lay a hold of this thing looking back at that thing. Nothing back there looks like what I'm seeing up there, and I can't let that rob me of that. Let it go. It's time to release it. And no, I'm not saying it's easy. Some of you need to sit down with a professional. Some of you need to sit down with someone with spiritual insight. Some of you need to go through some real strong practices of self-awareness. You need to rediscover yourself. You need to challenge something on the inside to discover what you were really put here and placed here on this planet to do. It wasn't to be a victim. It wasn't to simply exist. It wasn't to be in survival mode. It wasn't to sit up and walk around and talk about what somebody, they couldn't stop you. That's why you're still breathing, but you got to release what's going on back there so that you can take hold of what's going on up here. I promise you that when you put in the work, when you make a decision that you are no longer going to be held down and held back for something someone else did that you could not control, you're no longer going to feel worthless because somebody didn't see the value in you. You're no longer going to feel unappreciated because that job didn't see what you did and dismissed you. You're no longer going to sit around and feel hurt because that person didn't see how much you love them. You're no longer going to sit around and look back at something that you've already overcome and let it rob you of what you're about to conquer. Let me tell you, there's something great waiting on you in your life, but you got to let go of all that stuff that's carrying you. Erykah Badu had a song, Bag Lady. You got too much stuff. You got to put that stuff down. Don't you dare take it into this new thing. God is trying to do a new thing, but you got to be prepared for it. There's a new thing that you need to be preparing for. And the first step, the one thing that you've got to be willing to do is let go of the past hurts that are interfering with you pressing towards the higher mark. Let go. Paul said, I forget about it. Why? It's done what it's done. It has none of the worry, the strain, the stress, the anger, the fear, the anxiety that I apply to something that already happened changes what happens. They hurt you. Nothing you can do in your mind, no malattention, whatever you focus on, you feel it. You wonder why you're down even when something good is going around, because you're focusing on the wrong thing. Whatever you focus on, stop focusing on what used to be. Start focusing on what's possible. Get the work, do the work. Discover yourself, become acquainted, intimately acquainted with who you are and your purpose in this world. See the value and don't look for anybody else to validate you. Now, when you get external validation, it feels good and it's great. But you need to know you. You need to know you at such an intimate level that absolutely nothing can come along and shake you. You need to know you at an intimate level so intensely that the things that make other people crumble don't shake the ground that you're standing on. What's ahead of you is so much greater than what's behind you. But you'll never recognize it. You'll never take hold of it if you keep looking back. Look, God bless you. I love you. Don't forget, this is the last day to take advantage of the free triple upgrade from the bronze mini all the way to the gold package. It ends at midnight tonight. For those who have said they wanted to work with me, this is a perfect opportunity to do so. But whatever you do, you got to leave it behind. Set it down. It doesn't belong where you're going. That pain doesn't belong where you're going. That heartache doesn't belong where you're going. That disappointment doesn't belong where you're going. You're marring the lens. You can't see clearly because you're carrying something and viewing it through a lens that you shouldn't be viewing it through. Change it. I promise you. I'm not saying it's going to get easy. I'm not saying that everything is just going to go great. What I'm saying is there will be a shift in your life. Your confidence will go through your roof. The things you'll start to see for yourself will change. You're carrying around poison in the way of emotions attached to past hurts, and it's literally destroying you. Let it go. On that note, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. My challenge is you take everything that you were meant to take and do everything that you were meant to do. Leave your name indelibly imprinted on this world. I promise you, you will be fulfilled. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys take as much time as you need to process this and have a great weekend.